Welcome to the Artist Academy podcast, a place where we focus on the business side of art to help you attract more customers, increase profits, and ultimately live a life of creativity and financial freedom. I'm your host, Andrea Earhart, and this week's episode features Michigan-based muralist Kevin Burdick. I was so excited to chat with an artist who predominantly uses spray paint, since I know very little bit about it, but I really want to. I was surprised to hear that Kevin uses acrylic spray alongside a roller with latex. Rollers and brushes I know all about, but combining it with spray paint, I don't know why I never thought about this before. Basically, he rolls a base coat and then uses a mix of airbrush and cans to spray on top of it to get that just effortless blend. I ordered some Kobra and Montana Gold cans directly after closing out this interview. I can't wait to try it. So I expected to get some spray tips from this conversation, which I did, and you will too. But what I didn't expect to come away with was a reminder that I paint for the love of it and not just for the profit. Kevin loves what he does, and it really shows in his work. His spray murals have so much energy and movement and bright colors. They're just so alive. They pop off the wall. I really think you're going to enjoy this interview. But let me know what you think of this week's episode with Kevin Burdick. Hello, I have Kevin here with me today, and I'm so excited to ask you all the questions about spray painting and how you started your business and all the things. And first off, for anybody watching this live, I have the link to his Instagram. So you guys want to go check out his cool stuff. It looks so good. And
thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, tell us a bit about you and let's get to know Kevin.
My name's Kevin Burdick. Scraps is kind of my AKA. It used to be graffiti name and just gone legit. So I've turned it into a little more of a business and I don't know, just a stage name, I guess. Just been drawing my whole life. Started when I was obviously a kid, a love for it. Was terrible in school, like a lot of artists, I think. Well, terrible at like the normal academic side of school. And art was the only class I liked. So got going, was into sports, and I played a lot of sports and got actually scholarships to schools that had no art program. And that was a little bit of a setback right out of school. Got injuries, and that's when I kind of had a little epiphany of saying, hey, let's try and do this art thing. Went to art at the Art Institute of Pittsburgh for a few years. Never finished. It's kind of embarrassing to say. At first, I was embarrassed, but now that I've got the ball rolling and traveling nationally and stuff, I wear it as like a medal almost. And that's a whole topic we get into later, obviously. But after doing that, I got into airbrushing cars and motorcycles. I'm from Flint area, and Flint, Detroit, up here in Michigan. Everyone has a car in their garage. Well, a project car, I should say. So the custom airbrush world was huge, like 15 years ago, 20 years ago. It's not as big now, but that's where I really refined my chops and the little detail stuff with an airbrush. I had always spray painted, done graffiti for fun, and that was kind of the rebel artwork that really intrigued me. And the airbrushing helped. And then I slowly got back into the murals now that murals are it's a golden era for mural art everywhere around the world. And the timing just couldn't be better that I had the background with spray paint, the art from some traditional training and just doing it. And now things are cruising. I'm doing mostly murals. I still airbrush every once in a while. When the job's right, I'm lucky enough to be busy that I can say no to some of the airbrush jobs and just do the fun, cool stuff. But yeah, it's mostly aerosol and mural art right now.
Awesome. And so I follow you on Instagram. I stalk your page. And
thank you. That's what it's there for.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you did this one really big job in like a day. And I'm a pretty fast painter, but I was like, I can't do that in a day.
It was probably, a recent one I think I did for a window tinting company over in Lansing. And the beauty of that one was the owner was like, hey, here's a budget. This is what I have to spend. It wasn't a ton. It's enough for a day. I mean, very good for a day.
How much was it, can I ask?
$1,000.
Okay, yeah.
That's kind of my minimum. Unless, obviously, as an artist, your friends, family, and that kind of stuff, you hook them up. But usually about 1,000 is my daily minimum to get over and do something cool. And it's more intriguing because the owner had seen my stuff and was just like, hey, this is kind of what we want. You do your thing. We're not going to put any restrictions on you and go to town. And that's how I can really work fast and do, I think, my best work when I'm like, just go instinct on it.
Yeah, for sure. And I imagine just the spray materials in general that helps you to
Yep.
work pretty
It goes
quickly.
quick. It really does. Once you learn the tips and techniques of spray cans, it really helps. And there is can control. It takes years. It's not something you're going to learn overnight, messing with the cans. But the cans nowadays are pretty fancy, low pressure. They're like a big airbrush. After a little work with the cans, you can really cut down on fades that you would be working with a brush for a couple hours. You can do in 2 seconds with one nice, clean, smooth spray with a can.
All right. What products are you using?
I use mostly Kobra spray paint with a K. They showed us a ton of love here at the Flint Art Project the last maybe 4 or 5 years. They give us deals on paint and they share everything on their page and they're huge supporters. So I just like to show love to the people that have shown us love, like to post theirs. Obviously, I use a little bit of everything. My other favorite brand is Montana. Their spray paint's really good. Montana Gold is very good, but 75% Cobra. And then there's times where I just can't wait for an order. So I'll go to up here in Michigan I think it's the Northeast. We have Dick Blick. I don't know how far they've expanded. I know they're not out like Colorado area, but they sell Montana and they're starting to sell Cobra. So
Awesome. Okay. I messaged you. I was like, if you ever want to do a tutorial, first off, I would want to
yeah.
learn, but I would even buy it from you to put it inside of the Artist Academy. So, because I've had so many people want to know how to do spray, and I'm like, I have very minimal knowledge of it,
Yeah.
but you are so good at it. And so, if you ever want to teach, just put
Yeah,
it out
definitely. It's been stewing in my head. I told
there.
my
Ooh.
wife about it and was like, huh. And she's the one who thinks outside of the box. I'm a kind of guy who's like, show me a wall. I just want to paint it. And then I guess the stereotypical artist where I'm not great at the business side of it. I focus so much on the product and trying to be as good as I possibly can that the business side of it falls by the wayside a little bit. But my wife's there to pick me up on that. But I think that'd be kind of cool to show some people. Some of the stuff that we get used to as spray painters is such a eureka moment for somebody that's never sprayed. And it'd be cool to show some of those tricks. But then also in the graffiti world, it's kind of one of those, you got to be in the club type things. You got to just go out and do it. So I definitely encourage people to just go do it, but a few tips wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, definitely. Because I do acrylics and latex, so I use a really big brush, and I feel like I pretty much got that down. But I don't know the process of doing spray. Like, do you do layers? What do you do? Darks first?
My favorite is I'll roll. I'll still use exterior house paint, the classic stuff you buy at Sherwin-Williams, Home Depot, whatever. For a majority of the background, any large blocking in, they call it when traditional art, to get the main gist of the color of the whole mural down. So maybe 20 to 30% of it is actually roller paint. And you're not trying to make it look great, obviously, with the roller, but then you go in with the airbrush. It would be hard to explain. I guess I work light to dark with skies and then dark to light with other things. That's $1 million question. I don't even know how to kind of go to town.
Okay, so you're using rollers, so like latex paint, and then
Yep, I still use latex paint. You do want to let that dry good, because if that latex paint is still wet underneath and you spray paint over top, that dries so quick because it's a solvent-based paint that you're creating a barrier, and then that latex, the water hasn't evaporated, and it'll actually get trapped and bubble up and do some real funky stuff. So that's a major tip, is if you are going to use latex background, give it a good, I don't know, I mean, even a few hours usually, but maybe possibly a day if you're it's not in the sun or something, or it needs some time to dry.
That's amazing. So I actually never even thought about using both. I kind of thought it was one or the other.
No. Definitely use both. I use a little bit, and then some murals, not the big stuff, I won't use my airbrush on, but lately, maybe the last year, I've started for final details, I will actually spray paint. I don't even know if I should say this. I spray paint right into my airbrush and then use a little bit of lacquer thinner to dilute it down, just so that it's a little thinner. So in my airbrush, because the airbrush is such a fine hole where it sprays out that you need it pretty thin. So I do that, and then I can use any color that I have in my arsenal of spray paint, which I usually have about 200 colors. job. And then I can use that for final details, cleaning up edges and stuff. But the airbrush is a great tool, but also I don't like overdoing it. I think it takes away from that spray paint look that people really want on their jobs these days.
Okay, so you have an airbrush and then you use spray paint cans too, and you use
Yep,
a
little
roller.
mini air compressor. That's probably my 3 processes. Roller, latex background, or if I'm doing a big wall, big building, I'll be using an airless sprayer, what they use to spray houses and stuff. So I have that. Then the middle details are spray paint, and then sometimes I use a little bit of airbrush. I feel like it's cheating, and I'm going to get hated on.
No, people think projecting is cheating too, but really it's
Yeah. Oh, that's a whole. Yeah, I'll get into that. Yeah. No projectors. I never use projectors.
Oh no. Okay. Well, I cheat using projectors, so there's really nothing you could say.
I can't say that. Actually, I know as I'm like I have one right.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, say it's a job, big company, one that's going to pay the bills. There's not a ton of soul in it, that is a job. And as an artist, you got to do those too. It's not all like, I only do what I want to do. You just may not be making a living as quick as you maybe would like to. So I will use a projector here and there for certain things. It's a tool. You're right. So when it comes to graffiti and street art jams or mural jams, if I'm going to a mural fest, no projectors.
Really?
It's all,
Okay.
I think it's more about respect between different artists, because I'm trying to gain respect from these big, huge artists that I look up to. And they see that I'm just sketching and drawing using a grid or a doodle grid. I feel, and who knows, this is all could be just in my head, but I feel I get more respect from the cool artists.
Oh, see, I've never been into a festival like that, so I wouldn't know that tip. So that's
that's kind of a thing from the graffiti world, is that like I would rather see an artist do something from their soul and it be off a little bit and know that that was their art from their head and heart than somebody that just projects a full thing and then they color it in. But that's why I dish out my respect.
Okay, I got you. So
all I'm saying is make it your own. Even if you are using a projector, I just hope that you put your own twist on it, whoever you are.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Even then a projector, I mean, it just kind of helps me like, okay, this goes here and that goes there, but there's no really like fine line.
Exactly.
Anyway. But yeah, so we have a comment here. I think this is Austin. I can't see who it is exactly, but he says, I'll come up and learn firsthand, and he can videotape for you. Austin's really good at doing the social media.
Heck yeah.
And whatnot. But yeah, if you guys wanted to collab and just really any next project that you have, that's how I started doing tutorials. I had a project and I had somebody come on and I was like, just ask me questions and like video me and stuff, because I don't even know what to say to you or like what questions you have. And then we just kind of made it into
perfect stuff. No, I love it. And I love that you're doing this stuff. I don't have the energy, I guess. I don't know. And I love that, there's a little bit, everybody's doing something to move this whole mural vibe that's going on in the world right now, moving it forward and making it, I don't know, a respected era in art. When you look back, there was the cool retro 60s and the, stuff in the 1800s, the expressionist stuff. And I feel like we are creating this is our little era of the street art and mural world.
Yeah, you're definitely right. There is some kind of fad going on right now where everybody wants murals and people will pay for them. And I'm like, how long is this wave gonna last? To like, hopefully, I mean, really, like as long as we keep pushing and creating cool stuff, and there's still walls.
For sure. I mean, there's a lot of walls everywhere. Always paint for fun too. I don't know. Like that's something I wanted to say was that like there is the business side of it, but I always encourage like new artists that are trying to start in the mural world. Not every job is a home run. You will get those, but still paint for fun. Like when you turn your hobby into a business, it's kind of a weird dance to keep interested in.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I find that if people are paying for it, that typically gets put to the top of my list. I'm like, okay, yeah. And then all of my side projects go to the bottom. And then after a while, I'm like, what happened to that? Like, I just need to get back to that.
You do. You get a little burnt out. And that's I do. I really try. And that's what these mural festivals are. And I really highly recommend applying for some. Every city's doing them now. It's crazy. I'm doing one in a little suburb of Indianapolis in 2 weeks. Suburb in Texas. They're not even these major cities, like even little towns. They have a lot of money to put towards beautification of their towns. that usually goes to planting flowers and stuff, which is good. But a lot of the cities can use that money, and it's usually a good chunk of money to put towards murals. So
How are you finding these? Because I Googled and I found one. I applied for it recently and we're talking. So Google or?
yeah, not really Google. I can't remember there is an Instagram site, and I'm terrible at remembering stuff like this off the top of my head. But there is actual like pages that will post whenever there's a call for artists for different mural festivals all over the world. And I'll track that down and try and get it to you so you can put it on this
Please do, yeah.
eventually or after. Google, I guess, because then there's the main ones that they take the elite, but they're starting to kind of take from a pool of artists from the bottom, like starting artists, all the way to the elite, the Obeys and, the big names. So, yeah, spread the net wide and hopefully you get a few. That's what I do. You apply to a bunch.
Okay.
Hopefully they've seen your stuff and maybe have heard your name. And then they're like, oh, that's that guy. I saw that one, this and there or something.
And then eventually we'll get to paint in Wynwood or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's the dream.
Yeah.
I painted in Wynwood, but not the actual festival.
No
and that's
way.
what you have to do. Like a couple years ago, I went down and painted for it's called A-Walls, another little festival that goes on during Art Basel. And you just take what you can get. You got to sacrifice and travel, spend the money. Some of these you're not getting paid much, if anything. Usually you'll get at least your paint covered and stuff. And then you got to get your name out there. So there's a lot of sacrificing. It's all write-off. So, it's a good way to do a trip to Miami write-off.
Yeah.
Get your name out there. There's tons of getting your name out there. A lot of these mural festivals, it's usually only a couple $1,000s. You're not walking away under, but the advertising you get and getting your name out there is worth every penny.
Yeah, totally agree. You have to start somewhere and work up.
Mm-hmm.
So, but now what are you charging for, say I'm a customer and I have a wall locally to you and they say, hey, I saw your stuff. I would love for you to come and paint something kind of custom for me on this big wall that I have. How do you price me?
I usually have kind of a 3-level tier where my minimum for walls, big walls, anything is I won't go for $2,500 or less. And then I usually have kind of that range at about 5,000 and then 10,000. That's what I tell people right off the bat. The 10,000 one will get you shared all over. People are going to see it. You'll be the talk of the town. The $5,000 one, it's going to be cool. Don't get me wrong. It might happen and get real popular and be amazing. And then the get you a mural type price is the low end. But I don't know. I go with my gut. I know that's my wife would kill me hearing me say that. But you read the client, I guess. Huge corporations have huge budgets that they just blow money on, and it's always write-offs for companies. So corporate stuff, I obviously tweak it and add a good chunk more to them. Yeah. Private people, say it's at somebody's house, they'll be on the lower side, I guess, but they might not get priority if I'm doing a $10,000 wall. That's the one I'm going to book for sure. And then if I can get to those other ones, I will. Or I'll do those big $10,000, $15,000 jobs and then take time off for my brain and go and paint at these festivals and kind of recoup almost.
Yeah. Having that balance in there. So you mentioned that your wife, she helps you with the business side. How much does she help you?
Yep. She kind of handles when, you get that first intake of inquiries through the website. There's always a wave. A lot of people want to ask, the pricing and stuff, but they might not be that serious. So she'll handle those and tell prices back to them, just really rough quotes and how busy I am and stuff. And then if it seems serious, and we've been together for 10 years, so she's got a good read on what I like to do. So she'll kind of filter through the ones that she thinks I would really like doing or send them my way. She just handles all the editing of redoing the website, the portfolios, the stuff that you send out to these mural festivals. Keeps me working. Motivation, I guess.
That's handy.
Back rubs.
Yeah. Support.
Yeah, it is. Mental support, having someone great.
It really is. I was reading some article about the percentage of people who, if you have somebody on your side, like a spouse, who's really invested in what you do, the rate at which you're going to succeed at is times 10 or something. Like and the speed at which you're going it just multiplies. It's having that support system or somebody, whether it's a friend or a family or a support group or whatnot, it helps.
Oh yeah, it is. Artists, we're all like, no matter where you're at in your career, I feel like we're always questioning it. And it's nice to have somebody that will tell you you're doing great, but also tell you if you're not doing great.
Yep.
I think that's almost more important. It's like, hey, what's wrong with that person's face in the mural there? And you're like, what? Because everybody online, they're not professional art critics, or they're not, they want to be nice to you. So they're like, everything looks great. And they'll write you that. And it's almost a false gratification. And then you need somebody to kind of be like, that one's a little off. And it's,
yeah.
I do appreciate it eventually.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'll have my husband look at it. I'm like, do you see anything wrong with this painting? I won't even say what it is. I'm like, does it look okay? He's like, that spot looks weird. I'm like, dang it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and that is good. I know it's hard as artists because we all think we're terrible, but we also think we're the greatest artists in the world in a weird conundrum. So it's good to have somebody, that you trust to tell you stuff like that. I guess that's maybe the best part of having that good support.
Yeah, for sure. So we have a quick question here. Somebody asked for fluorescent spray paint colors. Do you use fluorescent colors? And they mentioned that they fade really quickly.
They do fade. The UV in them, I don't know why, but if it has something to do with the tint that they use in them, they fade quite a bit. I just did one, no joke, yesterday where I was going for that glowing Tron almost look of these panels on a futuristic. It looked mechanical. It was a car spray booth that we painted to make it look like really like fancy or futuristic. I like getting the effect from colors, starting with a dark color and then working your way up to the brightest, almost close to white to make it look fluorescent. Check out Adam Fu.
Okay.
Adam Fu, I think, or something on Instagram. He does just neon stuff. That's amazing. But yeah, the colors, whoever they asked, they're definitely right. The fluorescents don't last well. Reds fade quicker, just like any paint. Reds are going to turn to pink after maybe 6 or 7 years, which is still pretty good. The spray paint that we use, the high-end mural stuff, it has UV protectant in it, and it lasts. It's almost like automotive paint that's not going to fade. If you buy a bright red from Home Depot and a Behr paint or something, that red's going to fade pretty quick. 2 or 3 years, it's going to start turning pink. But the spray paint is definitely. With that said, it's also much more toxic. So definitely make sure you're aware of wearing like really good respirator. It's no joke. Especially me, I'm around it a lot. So I'm like real mental. I buy new cartridges at least once a month because the cartridges do go bad. The carbon in them, they actually get clogged with paint. So a lot of people get a mask and I'll see them and they're so dirty and gross. And I'm like, when's the last time you changed those? And they're like, oh, I bought it a couple of years ago. I'm like, that thing's not doing anything. So there's actual carbon in those filters that's sucking the toxins out of the air that you're breathing. So definitely change the cartridges.
Great tip. Yeah. One time I painted a bathroom pink and I spray painted it with glitter and I didn't use a mask I legit got dizzy. I had to go outside and sit. I'm like, I know better. What am I doing? This is a while ago. But
obviously there's times where I'll get excited about a job and I'll start painting and be like, oh damn, why I don't have my mask? Like getting nasty. So it does happen obviously, but the more the better. It's nothing like, latex has a smell, or acrylics, there's a smell, but it's nothing like, spray paint. You do need major ventilation. A lot of times if I'm doing a restaurant or somewhere, I'm in there at 1 a.m. to 8 a.m. in the morning, which is kind of brutal, but you have to paint when no one's there, obviously.
Oh, yeah. With the spray.
So that's another little logistics thing of, when you're doing mostly spray paint.
Yeah, I remember I was working on a store one time and they were spraying blue with like an ocean scene near me. And I wasn't even really that close to it, but I blew my nose later and I had blue. And I'm like, oh yeah. Whoa.
Yeah, it's a real... shows you your nose is working good, but that's terrible. Yeah. And especially being artists, we're going to be around it a lot. I'm sure every once in a while it's not going to, affect you down the road, but if you're around it a lot, I'm real crazy about it.
Great tip.
Not good for you. Looks great, not good for you, buddy.
Yeah. I feel like it kind of makes us look really professional having those like really big masks on.
Yeah, it is. It's cool. Yeah.
So where are your customers coming from mostly? I found you on Instagram through Austin, but where are they finding you?
Another thing I love about Murals is their own billboards. Once you're doing large scale stuff outside, people are going to see them. If it's quality, they'll want it. That's why, really refine your designs and work on making sure that's as good as you can possibly do. Be proud of it, and it'll spread. Treat customers right. They'll spread the word. Usually someone will go into a building. If you haven't put your name, usually most artists will at least put their Instagram, sometimes website, or just name so they can find you on that. But I don't pay for any advertisement. I do have a website, pretty basic, just a portfolio, bunch of photos. Yep. That helps. But it's mainly, I think, word of mouth, Instagram. I have enough around here in Michigan that they're kind of self-sustaining, getting the businesses or getting known. But nationwide, I don't know. I guess Instagram, but I'm terrible at it. I'm not a guy that posts every day, all day with stories and stuff. I'm trying to do better about that. But
I feel like if you don't need to, if it's working, then.
Yeah, that too. I don't want to rely on it, but a lot of the festivals, they will. I have a chip on my shoulder. Like they'll look at your followers. I feel like they'll look at your followers before they look at your artwork. But that's probably just me.
No, I feel like there's something to that. Yeah, people will see
a little bit, but also I have gotten into big festivals with some big names, and I have nothing compared to them. So there are some that are like, I hope my art is getting me into these things,
Yeah.
So that's what I tell myself.
Yeah, for sure. As we wrap this up, do you have any last minute advice for artists who are trying to make it in the spray painting world or mural world in general? We have a lot of people who listen to this who are just starting out, hoping to go full time, and they're like, how do I make this happen?
Yeah, start, but don't freak out if it doesn't happen in the first few months or something. I started painting when I was 18, professionally airbrushing cars when I was 22. While I was still kind of in school. And I mean, there was a good 10, 15 years. I was making enough, but I was still living in and out at home, moving around, not making a lot of money. It was a good 10, 15 years. I'm lucky I started right early, so I got through that rough era. And, the last 10 years have been good. It does take time. Every once in a while, somebody just blows up. It's awesome. You're living in a great time right now for mural artists.
Yeah.
There's tons of work out there. One for the soul, one for the dough. That's what I always say with murals. Do one for the money. We live in a society where we need money to live. And then also do one for the soul, keep you happy and loving art. Do whatever you want to do because you are going to be restricted until someday, hopefully you get to a point where you're a huge artist and you only paint what you want to do and then people throw money at you. That's the dream.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to start.
Yeah, I think that really shows in your work too, because there's several that you're like, wow, you really know what you're doing, and that's a lot of color, and it's just eye catching. And I feel like the stuff that we like to do and then we don't get paid as much for, I find that that's almost the most shared stuff. Even though I didn't get paid hardly anything for that, but it was my idea, whether
exactly
full of color.
My mural festival stuff. Yep, yeah. The stuff when I know what I think is cool. And I'm really in a flow and I'm excited about it. And I'm not even tired when I'm painting it, because I'm so into it. It has taken over my brain. I'm like a little kid again, painting, loving it, excited to see what it's going to be when it's done. Or no, I know it's going a good direction. Those are the ones that do. They get blown up and I love that. And then the ones, the business ones, they are what they are. I still love them in a way. And you have to keep that standard up so that you keep getting jobs, no matter what the job is, even if it's not fun. There's days even when I wake up, I'm going to paint for a living and I'm making really good money. And I'm still just like, I don't want to go to work because it's work still.
Yep.
But I just step back and take a look and be like, I'm not going into a cubicle to work or I'm not sitting in traffic or anything, every day. So very lucky.
Yeah.
Try your best. Don't be hard on yourself. I think, like I was saying, it doesn't happen overnight. Every painting you do isn't going to be amazing. I have tons of terrible artwork. I just don't share it, I think that's something kids need to hear, that every drawing you do, you're going to have 10 terrible ones for every 2 or 3 runs that I think are awesome, maybe more. And I have piles of just you look back and you're like, what was I doing? But it's all part of that process,
Yeah, for sure. Is there ever any kind of projects that you do for a company where you're like, you want that really? And then you don't share it?
Rarely. I think I'm a point in my career where they come to me and they've seen what I do. So they give me ideas and then I take that and put it into my own style so that I would enjoy painting it.
Great.
So lately, no, but yeah, I'm sure there was tons of stuff I wouldn't share. Or I was even embarrassed. You feel like you're a sellout as an artist or, this and that. And that's a huge debate in the world. Like, oh, you're doing it for the money. It's like, well, yeah. And I'm doing it because I love painting. Trying to do both.
Yep, it's a balance of both for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And you've inspired me to paint more for myself because I'm really more on the side of making money so I can go and do whatever else, not work, basically.
That maybe is your fueling your soul, is getting away from the painting.
Mm-hmm.
But if you got into painting because you liked it in the beginning, every once in a while I feel you got to go and just paint something goofy or whatever you want.
So true. Yeah. You very much reminded me of it and have talked me into it. So I'm going to go do that. And I hope other people take it from that and do that as well.
Definitely. Because those paintings still help you in your commercial stuff.
Yeah.
Like you try something new, fun, and then that will help you, it's just more practice.
Thank you so much for coming on and sharing everything. It's been awesome to talk to you. And
yeah. Thank you for noticing my art and letting me use your platform to get out to more artists and stuff. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. And we will be looking forward to that tutorial at some point.
All right. It's cooking.
Yeah.
It's cooking in here.
I'll be stalking you on Instagram until then.
Cool. Thank you.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Artist Academy podcast. And if you like hearing interviews just like this in your ear, if they inspire you, then I want to encourage you to go download the Audible version of my new book, Mural Money. It's a condensed version of basically all of the best tips given here on the podcast from guests, plus my own words of wisdom to help you get started in any art industry, plus stories of some hard lessons learned that I have never told before. You can pick up a copy at muralmoney.com. And again, I highly recommend the Audible version. I put a lot of tender love and care to make sure the Audible was extra special. It had some extra goodness in there. And it's really for any artist, but especially those wanting to make a profit from a paintbrush. Muralmoney.com. That's it. I'll see you next week.